Hello, this is Kerry Shamblin with my monthly astrological forecast for April 2021. Calculations are done using the Chitra-Paksha Ayanamsha, the mean node, and on the basis of the sidereal zodiac. Timings are based on Mountain Time Zone, US. A written version of this forecast is available at my website, planetaryinfluence.com. Jupiter enters Aquarius April 5th. The great and expansive Jupiter, who brings growth, knowledge, and wisdom, will change signs from Capricorn to Aquarius on April 5th. This could be a noticeable shift that feels as if things are beginning to take off after a change of perspective reveals open channels. Jupiter spends about 1 year in each sign, on average. Sometimes a transit is interrupted by a retrograde cycle that casts a planet into the previous sign, splitting the transit. Such will be the case with Jupiter in Aquarius. From April 5th to September 14th, 2021, Jupiter occupies Aquarius and while in retrograde motion returns to Capricorn. Jupiter resumes direct motion October 18th and returns to transit fully through Aquarius from November 19th, 2021 until April 12th, 2022. This is only a total of 10 months for Jupiter in Aquarius, split into two 5-month sections. Both Capricorn and Aquarius are signs coming under the rulership of Saturn, making them regions where we can experience the limitation, pressure, and practicality that Saturn represents. These are the natural 10th and 11th signs, showing the pinnacle of the journey that the zodiac signs represent. The 10th and 11th houses in a horoscope fall under the designation of upachaya, showing the potential for progress, transformation, and success that comes after serious effort. Saturn's energy tends to be separative, cold, slow, and determined. With Saturn currently placed in Capricorn, the 10th sign of the zodiac, from January of 2020 until January of 2023, we are collectively experiencing events that have forced us to return to the concept of structural strength and integrity. When cracks and weaknesses are revealed, we either repair or destroy so that we can create foundations with integrity. Jupiter has been joining Saturn in Capricorn, a notable conjunction that was exact on December 21st, 2020. These two planets make a conjunction about every 20 years. Which could be seen as signaling a new round in the dance between growth and decay. We rely on the positive, expansive, and growth-oriented energy of Jupiter to keep us buoyant, learning, and purposeful. When Jupiter visits the signs of Saturn, which would be 2 years out of every 12 years, we may feel the phenomenon of losing steam, hope, or faith as we see the truth about what isn't really working for the cause of evolution or for forward progress. It is as if the hope for positive evolution goes through its winter season during these times. When Jupiter visits Capricorn and Aquarius with Saturn also in attendance, this even more markedly slows down the positive change and growth. Our last experience of this combination came in the early 1960s. We are going through a similar pattern now, which will continue through April 2022, when Jupiter moves to his own sign of Pisces. Aquarius, called Kumbh in Sanskrit, is a complicated sign having both Saturn and Rahu as co-lords. Kumbh refers to a water pot, which is not far off from the Western symbol of Aquarius as water bearer. Despite this association with water collection, Aquarius is an air sign, reflected in the windy nature of both Rahu and Saturn. The Rahu element of Aquarius brings in the concept of the collective mass of conscious life on Earth, which manifests through humanity and all sentient beings. Welfare for all becomes important when Aquarius becomes strong, which will happen with Jupiter's transit there. Despite the social implications when it comes to the collective consciousness of sentient beings, There is still a sense of isolation with Aquarius, due to Saturn's influence there as well. This could manifest as our collective charge to remain vigilant for the welfare of all when it comes to managing the later stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. Jupiter will enter Aquarius on April 5th and move in forward motion until June 20th, when Jupiter's annual retrograde phase begins. From June 20th to October 18th, Jupiter will retrace his steps through the early degrees of Aquarius and retreat to Capricorn on September 14th. After resuming direct motion in mid-October, Jupiter moves quickly for the third time over the same terrain, re-entering Aquarius on November 19th. Let us celebrate at least the quality of having elbow room, enough to perform your duties without bumping into others. Jupiter is free to ponder alone until he returns to Saturn's proximity in September, save for the monthly visit from the moon. Not sharing a sign with a very strong Saturn is relatively enough that we may feel that Jupiter's spaciousness is able to express. Jupiter in Aquarius supports philosophy, so this would be a good time to have all of those debates and discussions about difficult issues, whether on a personal or collective level. The law meets regulatory systems here, so this is a good time for fundamental reorganization. Also, Aquarius symbolizes the collection of the resources that we accrue over time, in the same way that a cold mountain lake holds the precious water that comes from rain or snow. This may be a good placement for attempting to start new growth from older properties, products, or projects. For this first section of Jupiter in Aquarius, when Jupiter is direct, from April 5th to June 20th, 2021, we have Jupiter in the position to foster new expansion or even lead us to uncharted directions. Allow the mind to explore outside of prescribed solutions and be open to inspired ideas that are grounded in wisdom. Venus transits Aries from April 10th until May 4th. As Venus moves out of her sign of exaltation, we may have mixed feelings. Due to Venus's combustion with the Sun for most of the transit through Pisces, the connectivity we expect with a strong and vital Venus was interrupted. Moving ahead of the Sun in the zodiac, Venus moving to Aries ahead of the Sun is putting space between this pairing, similar to the space that is growing between Saturn and Jupiter at the moment. This astrological perspective manifests physically as Venus returning to our observational site by month's end. Through the remainder of 2021, Venus appears in the western sky after sunset as the evening star. The Sun follows Venus into Aries a few days later, but Venus's momentum has been gained and she will continue to move further out of the Sun's combustion range. Aries is the fire sign of Mars, not a friendly environment for refined Venus. While we may not be looking our best or even feeling prepared to make new relationships or business ventures, the initiative, courage, and direction that Aries exudes could help us make our new beginnings work, even though all of the materials may not yet be in place. New Moon in Pisces, Revati, April 11th. After Venus exits Pisces, and just before the Sun moves to Aries, we experience the new moon in Pisces, the final sign of the zodiac, on April 11th. The nakshatra hosting this pairing is Revati, lorded by Mercury, and the final nakshatra in the wheel. The universal environment indicated by Pisces helps us to dissolve and integrate what has come to term, preparing us for new beginnings by facilitating necessary endings. The new moon is a turning point each month, and each year, the April new moon that occurs in Pisces invites us to leave behind the cold stagnancy of winter and reinvigorate the vitality that comes with spring. The Sun and Moon join at 29 degrees Pisces as the Sun sets on Sunday, April 11th. The luminaries are joined by Mercury, debilitated in Pisces, but also the ruler of Revati, where the trio joins. This is a good time for going inward and giving full attention to both the intelligence and the emotional body. With Pisces currently flanked by Jupiter in Aquarius and Venus in Aries, this is a very positive, supportive cushion for the planting of new seeds and dreams. Mars transits Gemini, April 13th to June 1st. The combination of Mars and Rahu has produced some notable aggression, tectonic activity, and potential for accidents since February 21st. After the exact conjunction on March 28th, Mars moves out of Rahu's cloud and into Mercury's air sign of Gemini on April 13th. This produces a couple of new paradigms. We count on Mars for protection, power management, and resource acquisition. His favorite place to rock this kind of work is when he's in Capricorn. It is also easy to drive his agenda when he is in his own signs of Aries and Scorpio. Due to Mars's intense and fiery nature, many of us actually enjoy interacting with Mars when he's not at his most potent. This is the case for the coming months, with Mars transiting through Gemini, Mercury's air sign, and Cancer, the sign of the moon that debilitates Mars. When Jupiter has some amount of influence on Mars, that is considered a benefit, encouraging powerful Mars toward positive behavior and actions. With Jupiter's recent move to Aquarius, we will have this positive insurance coverage for Mars's entire Gemini transit due to Jupiter's aspect. Mars does know how to work, and we can move mountains, given the proper tools and resources. In the air sign of Gemini, we may be seeing work that is more of a mental nature than physical. In particular, Mars in Gemini is great at building communication and distribution systems. Using the logic, strategic power, and problem-solving ability of Mars in the flexible, communicative, and airy environment of Mercury could go a long way in problem-solving and implementing new systems. Mars has momentum in Gemini, and this added speed could be detrimental if the track isn't totally paved. We may face the choice of resisting the temptation to go further faster in favor of steadiness and safety. The power and speed of Mars from Gemini will also be felt in the signs he aspects from there: Virgo, Sagittarius, and Capricorn. Use this push to get yourself back in the saddle if you've jumped off for whatever reason. All signs point toward the stuck things loosening up. Sun transits Aries, April 13th to May 14th. The Sun enters into Mars's fire sign of Aries, the sign of exaltation for the Sun, on April 13th. Not only is it positive for the Sun to enjoy exaltation, but since mid-January, when the Sun joined Saturn in Capricorn, the Sun has been under the cold pressure of Saturn, much like Jupiter has been. The Sun spends a month in each sign. Every year, from mid-January to mid-March, the Sun transits Saturn signs of Capricorn and Aquarius, which correspond to the deepest cut of winter in the northern hemisphere. This year, even the Pisces transit was affected by the aspect of Saturn from Capricorn, so we got an extra month where our glow was suppressed. Venus is slightly ahead of the Sun on the track, and Mercury is following close behind. But these two regular entourage members will be the only planets really affecting the Sun as he rises and shines from mid-April to mid-May in the sign of Aries. Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, and Rahu are not in a position to aspect this righteous and strong Sun. This could help individuals to clear the cobwebs, make plans, and get back on track with self-improvement, as well as encourage independent steps when the time is right. Mercury transits Aries, April 16th to the 30th. Mercury's speed has also increased as he rushes out of debilitation in Pisces and into Aries, joining the Sun and Venus. This will be a quick transit, but powerful, as Mercury's relationship with Mars during this 2-week period could really give a boost to getting those new projects off of the ground or making moves that require ample energy. But for the first half of April, we see Mercury with water wings slogging through Pisces with the Sun and Venus pairing. Jupiter's water sign debilitates Mercury, who manages to get his messages across even in the most dire of situations. But do not be surprised if the first part of April seems a bit soggy, communication-wise. It may be more comfortable spending quiet time focused inward, listening rather than speaking. But then, Mercury moves to Aries, which could change the mood suddenly. With Mercury in Aries, Mars' fire sign, and Mars in Gemini, Mercury's air sign, this duo becomes rather potent as each of them benefits from the other in this short parivartana, exchange of signs. This is a fine configuration for initiating projects that require movement, management of resources, shifting power, technical communication, market research, and medical technology. As things begin to move, make sure the direction is accurate before the speed picks up. Full moon in Libra, Swati Nakshatra, April 26th. After the new moon of April 14th, in the last degrees of Pisces, indicating closure and release, the Sun and Moon move together into Aries, finally separating a few days later as the Moon waxes, past Rahu in Taurus from April 14th to the 16th, and then Mars in Gemini from April 17th to the 19th. The Moon is on a solo journey for the next week as she becomes full on April 26th at 13 degrees Libra, opposing the exalted Sun in Aries. This moment comes just after sunset in the Western Hemisphere, and we may begin to catch glimpses of both Venus and Mercury in the western sky after sunset, as the full moon begins to rise in the eastern sky. Libra is the air sign of Venus, and the moon sits in the nakshatra of Swati as she reaches fullness. Swati is lorded by Rahu, and teaches us the value of flexibility and creativity in the face of the unpredictable and variable winds that blow regularly across the surface of our lives. Both Aries and Libra are signs of movable quality, implying that planets placed there help us to get things started. Libra is an air sign, which further highlights the mental, social, and philosophical nature of the air signs, which are currently being strengthened by Jupiter in Aquarius and Mars in Gemini. This is a great time to get clear perspective on present situations that are still swaying from recent instability, to open up to new thought structures and ideas, to glean inspiration from creative sparks that are finding new channels for expression. Saturn, solo in Capricorn. As the month of April closes, we may feel as if we've gone through marked shifts. The planets are spreading out from one another, which creates a general environment that seems smoother and more fluid. Saturn has occupied the sign of Capricorn since January of 2020 and has been quite an active host to other planets moving through. Saturn finally has his fortress to himself after Jupiter moves on April 5th. The tendency of Saturn to root down and slowly plod through the monotonous, tough work of building to last will be supported without the distraction of conjoined planets, save for a monthly pass of the moon. This can be translated to personal experience by studying the sign of Capricorn in the horoscope. The domain of life, indicated by Capricorn, and the planets placed therein, could be the site of some serious building during the next couple of years. No hurry. Until April 2022, the aspect of Rahu continues to affect Capricorn, perhaps pushing traditional Saturn to innovate beyond what seems to be safe and sure. This could also show creative ways of modernizing or upcycling old stuff. A good way to celebrate the determination and tenacity of Saturn in Capricorn would be to pick a project that accomplishes goals very slowly and deliberately. A nod to steady Saturn, who reminds us that we can only take one step at a time. Even a tiny movement each day will eventually get us to our goal.